So today we have Kim. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Amy.
Before we get into the interview, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land. I want to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Thank you. Now, tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do and where you come from.
Sure. So I'm Kim Scanlon. I'm the manager of Mountains Youth Services team. We are a not-for-profit organisation supporting young people 12 to 24 in the Blue Mountains. We have 3 physical spaces. So we have a youth centre in Waratah Street in Katoomba, and we also have a youth centre in Springwood Avenue in Springwood, and we have some counselling rooms in Macquarie Road in Springwood. So like I said, we provide support for young people 12 to 24 in the Blue Mountains with case management. So that's sort of a little bit more intensive support. If people have complex needs, we can also do WDOs, which is working development orders. If young people get train fines or any sort of fines, if they spend time with one of our case managers or counsellors, we can we have an arrangement with State Debt where some of that money will come off for the time spent with us. We also have youth workers who do individual support but also drop-in support. That looks a little bit different now with COVID. So it used to be young people can just drop in, and we used to get up to 50 people on a Friday evening at Katoomba, but now obviously we have to schedule them with the coronavirus protocols that we've got. So we're only allowed 14 people in our centre in Katoomba and 11 people in our centre in Springwood. So that's changed a little bit. We've got a lot more digital supports as well. When we sort of went into lockdown, the youth workers were amazing at shifting to digital. So we're doing Twitch gaming and YouTube drops and Instagram live and Q&A with doctors on sexual health and coronavirus and the effects, and also drop-in was digital. And we do have 2 adolescent and family counsellors as well, so all of those services are free. We do run an outdoor explore program, which is where we take a group of 8 young people into the bush every day, 1 day a week for an 8-week period. So we run that in all of the local high schools. So we rotate. It's quite an expensive, high intense program that we run. So we need trained guides and we need updated equipment, but we do actually do some pretty fun stuff like kayaking and canyoning and abseiling and bushwalking and mountain bike riding. So that is having a youth worker and a trained guide going out. So challenging young people to, push through barriers, I guess, and fears, and also team building and connections. And there's just something, as we know, researchers said something about being in the bush. We feel better. It reduces anxiety. It reduces depression and other mental health issues. We find that program works really well, but it's very intensive with a small group and a lot of resources, but over the term we notice huge differences. And we also support street artists through Street Art Murals Australia, and we curate the street art walk space in Katoomba as well. So I think, and we've got a music rehearsal space as well in Katoomba, so young musicians can come and rehearse there, and also we've got a grant to work on making a recording space so young people can actually produce their music in a format where they can then upload it to Spotify or whatever. So I think that covers most of it, but I've probably forgotten some.
That is incredible. That is absolutely amazing. I don't even know where to start with all of that. That is such an amazing way that your organisation is able to support in such a broad way, going from that micro to that macro. It's amazing. So I would imagine working directly with young people, you would see some of the common challenges with people and what their experience, particularly in the Blue Mountains. What would you say some of the challenges are for young people in the Blue Mountains?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question, because I kind of have these 2 hats, one where we notice anecdotally what's happening within our organisation, but I'm also a member of MYST, which is youth mental illness and substance abuse interagency and the Stronger Families Alliance have been working with other people or organisations in the mountains, including Belong, who support young people, and there's been some kind of collective impact initiatives, so going into schools and interviewing 2,000 young people and finding out what matters to them. So it's good to have our snapshot, but it's also good to know what's happening in a broader sense with young people across the mountains. And we know from that data that young people, what matters most to them is being able to support their friends with mental health issues, and also having spaces that are youth friendly that they can go and hang out in. So I mean, obviously we're lucky enough to be able to provide both those things, and that does inform some of our practice. I've just found some money in the budget to train 3 of our youth workers in teen mental health first aid, so they'll be able to go into the schools and work with young people to be able to give them the skills to support their friends with mental health issues, because we know that's been identified. I guess all of the standard stuff, anxiety, depression, drug use, that was another thing I'm also involved with, Planet Youth, and our statistics around cannabis use was very high in the mountains, so that can sometimes have an effect on, sometimes that can be the thing you use to cope with the other stuff, but then that becomes the problem. So and homelessness, that's higher than what you'd think. A lot of people are couch surfing. We're funded for early intervention, we're not funded for homelessness, but a lot of the clients we support in conjunction with platform youth services who are funded for homelessness, and we'll support them with Centrelink applications, fines, mental health, sort of a lot, there's that wraparound. We're not finding them accommodation, although in lockdown we did have a young person that there was just no choice, we had to, but we're not funded to. But yeah, I mean, the gamut of issues that you would see, really. But yeah, mental health seems to be a big one.
Knowing that there are these challenges, and obviously you've got restrictions within your capabilities and what you're able to do, what are some things that the community can do to support either MYST or general community support around mental health, homelessness, drug use, all of these things? What are some things that you think could be really helpful from the community?
Well, one thing we noticed with the Planet Youth surveys that were done in the schools, and what young people were saying is like 94% of young people were saying that their parents and carers don't want them to use cannabis and alcohol, and yet they often are. So what we were identifying is that there's definitely parents want to help and want this to change. So one of the ideas is to make sort of parent networks, so parents know who their young people's friends' parents are. So young people are identifying that generally we know the friends of our children, our young people, but we don't always know their parents. So it can be a simple thing like, if your son says they're going to a friend's house, just maybe giving the parents a call and seeing what's happening, and just creating that little bit of a connection that way. And so building community within parent communities, I think could actually be really helpful. And I think young people are feeling sometimes like they're not welcome in their community. That's what we're sort of hearing. Young people will find spaces to hang out, like they'll hang out at the Carrington lawn and they hang out at the library, because it's comfortable and there's lounges and there's free Wi-Fi, like it's kind of made for them. So I think sometimes there can be that feeling that young people are kind of there to cause problems, but I think if we can work together as a community and create spaces that feel welcoming for everyone in the community, that definitely, will make a difference, because young people also want to be able to hang out and sit on lawns and go to the library and do their thing. And yes, they're a bit rambunctious sometimes and whatever, but because they're young people, so I think just having that welcoming attitude can be really helpful.
I guess as well for the wider community, this is a really strong message in how we use our body language, how we talk to young people, even if we're not in charge of these spaces or responsible for these spaces, but when we're working in these spaces as well with these young people. So it's not, just the responsibility of the librarian or,
Absolutely. It's just everyone, you know. I mean, there
mm,
was a young person who told us that they had an experience where they just politely asked a police officer at Winter Magic one year where the bathroom was, and was told that she should go home, you know, that kind of thing. So it just, if the
yeah,
whole community can kind of go, you know, this is a community space. Young people are part of the community. So yeah, about being welcoming, about being positive, maybe smile at young people when you see them. They're not that scary.
yeah. Well, I think this is particularly important, and uh, something that we really need to run home, because if just giving a smile and making someone feel welcome improves someone's mental health, or the build the resilience to help themselves in sourcing, a home, or help when it comes to drug use or any of those things, it's having that wraparound support, from the library to Winter Magic, sitting, um, you know, out on the grass at Carrington. So I think, I think that's a really good wake up call, because I think there's been times where I've even been a little bit like, oh, you're being too loud. It's ridiculous, because, I was young once and I
Yeah.
was loud once. I still am, So, I think that is really, really important.
Yeah.
So not just doom and gloom, because young people have some amazing resilience and are brilliant creatives and come up with brilliant ideas. What are some of the things that you've seen that has just blown your mind and thought, oh my gosh, you're brilliant, look at what you've created?
Well, I think it was the project that we had where we identified there was a cohort of young people that love music. Music is very strong in the Blue Mountains. Actually, there's a lot of young musicians, and this area seems to break down a lot of the age barriers. So there is a real sense of older musicians that are my age really supporting younger musicians, and this project really highlighted that. And we were amazed by the amount of community support. Like Katoomba Music came to the party and offered to help fix instruments, and people from Cam from Future State Studio came and mentored and helped raise money to create the recording space. And Willem Hendrickson was amazing in helping the launch of one of the bands, Sapphire Palms, at Junction 142, and now they've got music on Apple Music. And
Amazing.
also these young people in this particular band who are now sort of 2021, a couple of them have become MYST volunteers, and they're now helping new musicians come through. So incredibly supportive, incredibly respectful, harnessing that creativity. And obviously MYST has been able to create, offer that space with community support for young people to use for free, which has been awesome. So yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Young
do you
people are
think that
amazing.
might be
They are resilient, and they do care about what's going on. They care about the climate. Climate change, I think, is a big issue for people. Are a bit worried about what's going to happen. Obviously, they've had a lot to deal with COVID. Oh my gosh, it's huge for all of us. But when you're a young person, it's oh my god, what's happening to my world? So a lot of challenges, and they do. They are resilient. They are amazing. They're good friends. They're supportive of each other. I think our youth workers are really amazing at connecting with young people, and if you can have a non-judgmental voice when you talk to a young person, it's amazing what they'll talk to you about. I think, like everyone, young people don't like to be criticized or judged. It's I think sometimes in our adult headspace we think we know what's best for young people, but young people know what's best for them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, that's brilliant. Um, so really, I guess there might be some young people that have heard some really fun things and think, oh, I'm actually really good on the guitar, or I am good at, whatever creative thing or whatever it is. How can they get involved with MYST? How can they reach out and contact MYST?
Well, we have a very easy number. It's 1300 00 MYST. So you can't forget that one. Just give us a call and we can put you in touch with youth workers, or book you into the music room or anything that you're interested in. The youth workers are really great at doing fun things in school holidays, excursions and art groups, and one of our counsellors is an art therapist. Lots of creative opportunities. We also have a website, which is really just easy. It's just www.myst.com, and there's pages there and individual mobile numbers of all of the staff. So if there's someone particularly that you want to talk to, you can just call them directly. So they're probably the two easiest ways to get in touch.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. That was really, really great. Have a lovely day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.